I'm spilling the tea today. There's no such thing as a Disney travel agent. Don't worry, don't click off this video. Today, I am going to break down everything you need to know about being a travel agent specializing in Disney and answering all of your questions. Hello there, and to all who come to this happy place, welcome. If you're new here, my name is Abby, and I create Disney planning content here on my channel with the occasional video about being a travel advisor. If you've never come across my channel before, I'd love if you would hit the subscribe button down below and share this with a friend who might be interested. Okay, so if you clicked on this video, then you are probably interested in becoming a Disney travel agent. And when I said that doesn't exist, sorry. So let me explain. We are not Disney travel agents because we do not work for Disney. It's not a term that we're allowed to use. Disney does not allow us to call ourselves Disney travel agents. The reason for that being that when you say you're a Disney travel agent, you are saying, I work for the Walt Disney Company, and we don't. When you're a travel agent specializing in Disney, you work for some other agency that has a working relationship with Disney. It's very different things. So the closest thing to a Disney travel agent would be working in the reservation center for Walt Disney World or for Disneyland. Those people work for Disney and they plan trips on behalf of Disney. Now, their job is not necessarily the one that you and I would want, because when you work for Disney, you're at the mercy of Disney and what Disney wants and what is best for them. So when people work for Disney, they are seeking out sales that match what Disney's guidelines are for them. So they might be pushing a specific resort or room category or set of dates because it's what's best for Disney. If Disney's sales are slow for a certain time period, they're going to be pushing their people to send people at this other time, which is not always what's best for the client. But as a salesperson, you can talk people into doing something that's not necessarily best for them, which is not setting the guest up for the best experience. So as a travel advisor specializing in Disney, we don't work for Disney, so we don't have any of that pressure. We can instead build relationships with clients and find out what they are looking for and match them with the best vacation for them, whether that's time of year, whether that's a specific resort or resort category, or making sure that they're in the correct room type for their family, not the most expensive one or the one that's not selling well. I can share my real experiences and opinions with my guests, and I don't have to filter it through the lens of, if Disney hears I said this, they will fire me, because they can't. We don't work together like that. Disney and I are partnered, right? So ultimately, this just works out a lot better for the client because I can be so much more honest with them about the experience that they're going to have if they choose X, Y, or Z. Obviously, I am a big Disney fan, and so is most of my team. I do talk really positively about Disney, but I can also admit where they have faults and they have areas to improve on. And I think that's what's really important about being separated from the brand in this way that's travel agent specializing in Disney destinations. It also helps me to prepare my clients accordingly for the experience that they're going to have. So if they are choosing something that there could be a flaw or there could be something that goes wrong, I'm able to prepare them ahead of time and say, hey, if this happens, this is what we're going to do. This is the plan. And it just makes them feel so much more at ease and like their vacation is truly taken care of, which is at the end of the day what my goal is for them. What is so great about my job is that I get to actually plan vacations for families that are perfect for them. I get to make sure they're going to see every princess that their little girl wants to see, or they're going to meet all of the Marvel superheroes and know when and where to do that and what is going to give them the best vacation. The people in the reservation centers that are, like I said, the closest thing to a Disney travel agent, they're not doing that nitty-gritty planning and working one-on-one with clients in that way. Clients call in. People call in to book their vacations, and they talk to someone different every time. My job is to build a relationship with people and to really get to know them and plan for them for years to come. Okay, so now that we have gotten over the whole there's no such thing as a Disney travel agent, let's talk about what a travel advisor actually does, because a lot of people actually don't know what we do. So my job is to create experiences that my guests are looking for and are going to love, helping them spend their hard-earned money and vacation time on something that they're going to look back on fondly. Because if you've ever been on a bad trip, you know that does not always happen. Sometimes you look back on a trip and you're like, ugh. I don't want that for the people that I'm planning for. I walk guests through the planning process from the booking to the itinerary planning to the following up in destination to talking to them about their trip afterwards so that I can learn what worked for them and what didn't so that next time we plan a trip together, it's an even better experience. My goal is just to make sure every trip is perfect for the family that I am working with. I'm also doing things behind the scenes like managing the records of their trip, managing like all their confirmation emails, confirmation numbers, making sure those don't get lost. I am staying in pretty constant contact, especially as we get closer to their trip and while they're on their trip, so that they always know that they have someone to rely on for their questions and to share information and updates. So yeah, the role of a travel advisor is a lot more than just clicking book on a website, which I think is what some people think that we do. There's so much more than that. It's a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of planning, a lot of logistics. Okay, so let's dive into the questions that I got about being a travel agent specializing in Disney. Do you only sell Disney vacations? And this is a super personal choice question. So at least at my agency, you do not have to only sell one thing. You don't only have to sell Disney. But if you want to only sell Disney, that's all you need to do. You can pick products that you love. When I say products, I mean like Walt Disney World, Disney Cruise Line, sandals, stuff like that. You can choose the products that you love and endorse and feel like you can plan really, really well and only plan those. You don't have to sell everything. You don't have to plan for all these different kinds of vacations if you don't want to. If you want to take on a new challenge, then that's an awesome way to grow and expand your horizons and like be more knowledgeable and, you know, grow your brand. But you are in no way obligated to do that. When I started out, I was only selling Disney. I will say that Universal and Disney often go hand in hand as far as like Walt Disney World goes, just because they are so close in proximity and theme park people often want to do both. So a lot of times when we're selling Walt Disney World, we'll end up doing a day ticket or an additional stay over at Universal. So Disney and Universal do tend to go hand in hand. You're probably going to sell both. But you definitely don't have to. And yeah, it's pretty flexible, honestly. So when I started, I was really only selling Walt Disney World. And then as the years have gone on, I've really expanded as my travel experience has expanded and as I've just learned more and been more active in the industry. So now, like, I sell more Disney Cruise Line than I sell anything. I'm also like a huge Disney cruiser now. I had never been on a Disney cruise when I started being a travel agent. So I do a lot of Disneyland. I do a lot of Disney Cruise Line. Walt Disney World is still like my number 2 behind Disney Cruise Line. But I've branched out to Universal, Royal Caribbean, and I'm working on all inclusives. So it's a career that can really grow with you, which I think is really cool and really special because there's always ways to improve and level up yourself. When speaking to my whole agency, we sell everything. Those were just like my personal sales, but we sell all the major all-inclusives, all the major cruise lines. We do a lot of Europe. We do a lot of Japan. So it's really create your own destiny with our team, at least, and leaning into what you are passionate about. Because when you're passionate about something, that is how you are going to plan the best vacations for your guests. The bulk of our sales is definitely still Disney. It's actually like tied between Walt Disney World and Disney Cruise Line. But we have grown so much in other areas in the last couple of years. It's absolutely wild, and I'm so excited to see what's coming. At the end of the day, like my outlook on it is I want to be able to service the whole client, not just the Disney client, if that makes sense. So if I send a family to Walt Disney World this year and they have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, awesome. We're going to go to Walt Disney World every year for a couple of years. And then we want to go do other things. We want to go to Europe. We want to go to Asia, and we want to experience the world with them. Well, I can match them with Adventures by Disney opportunities that are going to show them what they're wanting to see with the Disney brand and the Disney quality. That's like a whole thing. Adventures by Disney is awesome. But there's also other ways that we can do that by using other private tour groups or working with suppliers to piece together an itinerary in individual components, like different tours and different hotels and booking each piece individually. So there's so many different ways that you can go about it, but I love that we can service everything about a family from the time their kids are little or before they have kids all the way through until retirement and beyond. Now, if a client comes to me with something that I do not sell, I and all of my team members, really, we pass things around to each other. So, for example, one of my agents posted today that she has a repeat client that's interested in a trip to Japan, but she's never been and she's never planned it and doesn't feel comfortable doing so. So does someone else want to take this? So it's a very supportive way of keeping the business within the agency, but knowing and recognizing where your strengths and weaknesses are and being able to play to that. Now, when you're looking for an agency to work with, if you want to sell Disney specifically, you need to make sure that you are at an agency that can support you in that. Disney is its own beast. It is like nothing else in the industry. Things are changing constantly, which is pretty normal for the travel industry. But Disney's just so overcomplicated, to be honest, that you need a team that's going to be able to support you in planning these vacations, because there's so much to know, there's so much to learn, things are always constantly changing, and having a specializing in Disney agency is just really going to set you up for success. There is something called the earmarked designation. This is something you can look for. It means that for example, Friend Like Me is a gold earmarked agency. It means that we have a really strong working relationship with Disney. So that is something that you can look for. You don't have to look for it. There's a lot of different requirements for it. There's a lot of agencies that specifically choose not to be part of the program. We have made the choice that we do want to work that closely with Disney, and we do want the benefits that come with that. So that's just something to keep in mind. That designation does exist. It's the Authorized Disney Vacation Planner, Disney Earmarked Program. You might see it a couple different ways. So the next question that I got is, do you need sales experience to do this job and do it well? And I think a lot of agencies do prefer that you do. I personally don't care. Yes, technically this is a sales job, and at the end of the day, we're here to sell vacations. However, I think this job is so much more than that. It is about connecting with people is the number one. You have to be able to connect with people and make them feel comfortable and safe and trust you to take their vacation time and money and turn it into something amazing. And so being able to form those connections, those relationships with other people is really what's going to make a huge difference in your travel career and how successful you can be. You also have to love and be really good at the planning and the details. Like I said, there is so much that goes into planning Disney vacations. And if you've been on one recently, then you know what I'm talking about. You have to manage Lightning Lane multi-pass, Lightning Lane single pass, dining reservations, all the different ticket types. There's so many different components just to a package. And then things that you can add on once you're there, and what can you add now, what can you add later. There's a lot of pieces. And being able to convey that and explain it and really help your clients understand exactly what to expect and when they need to take these action steps is so important. You need to have really good communication skills, really good people skills, obviously, and you need to be able to keep everything organized in a way that not only makes sense to you, but makes sense to the guest. At the end of the day, you really want to be able to listen to your client, understand their concerns and their wish list, and be able to turn it into the right vacation package. Another question about the sales piece that I get all the time is, do we have sales minimums? And we do not. A lot of agencies do, but I believe more in effort minimums. So I believe that if you are doing all of the things that you need to do your job, so are you putting yourself out there? Are you posting on your social media? Are you getting out there in your community and building relationships? Are you networking at professional events, attending trainings, seeking out vendor webinars, and keeping up to date with the things that you're selling? If you are doing all of those things, I believe that 95% of people that are doing that are going to be successful. It just might take some time. It takes a different amount of time for every single person to really catch their stride. And it's slow at the beginning, honestly. I always tell my agents the first year sleeps, you don't get a lot of action. It's mostly just getting to know the job. The second year creeps, you start getting some business. And then the third year leaps. And like it really does grow exponentially because like as you get those first few clients and you do a really exceptional job, they're going to tell their friends and then their friends are going to book with you. And then those friends like are all going to tell their friends as long as you're doing a good job, of course. And that's how you build a business, providing great service that people want to tell their friends about. So that takes time because you have to like prove yourself, and people are often planning with 6 months to a year lead time. So it takes time for them to like know that their experience was a good one and then come back and recommend you. So while we don't have sales requirements, we do help our agents to set appropriate goals for where they are in their business today and where they want to be in the future. So, you know, if they want to make this a full-time career, I'm going to push them to get there, and I'm going to show them the way and like what they can do to improve to make sure that they're taking steps towards that, because I know that's what they want. But there's nothing that says like, I want all my agents to sell like $500,000 a year. Like that's not what I'm here to do. I am here to guide my agents in the career that they want travel to be for them, whether that's something that they do like for fun or if that's something that they really want to take seriously and make their full-time income. I just find that the goals are really important because if you don't have them, then what are you working towards and how will you know if you're being successful and like if you want to continue on this journey? Well, it's always said if you can dream it, you can do it, but you're not actually going to do it if you don't have the goal in mind as well as the steps that are going to get you there. So I like to think that this is what Walt would want me to do. Now, that answer was like very much Friend Like Me oriented. So let me preface the rest of this video by saying that I am answering these questions from my perspective as an agency owner running Friend Like Me Travel Co. So just because I do things one way or my opinion is this, that does not mean that every owner is going to feel the same way or run their agency the same way. So just take everything, like take what you need and leave the rest. All right, so now you understand a bit about the role, what we do, what's important. Let's talk about how you actually become a travel agent. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, the most important thing that a lot of people are missing when they try to become a travel agent is travel experience. And myself is included in this. When I was 18 years old, I said, I'm going to be a travel agent. I had not been to Walt Disney World since I was in 7th grade. I had not been anywhere. I had never been on a cruise. I had never been to an all-inclusive resort. Like, I just thought it sounded like fun. And that happens all the time when we get applications. Like, this is a job that requires personal experience. In order to be able to guide your clients and, like, explain what they're going to experience, you need to have done it. So, the travel experience piece is huge. For us, we require that you have been to the destination type that you want to sell. So if you're going to specialize in Disney, then we want you to have been to 3 Disney destinations / trips in the last 3 years. It can be repeats of the same destination. It can be a variety. For example, it could be 2 Walt Disney World and 1 Disney cruise, or a Disneyland, a Disney cruise, and an Aulani. It could be 3 Walt Disney World, whatever. But we require 3 trips in 3 years of whatever you're going to sell. If you were going to specialize in just cruises altogether, it could be a Disney, a Royal Caribbean, and a Carnival. So we're flexible as far as like where you're going. As long as you're going to try to sell that, then it counts. Ultimately, you need to get to know the products that you're working with and set yourself up for success in guiding your guests. The next thing that you need to do is you need to find an agency. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of agencies out there to choose from. You can either work for like a small team like mine, which we are on the bigger end of the small like boutique type agencies, or you can work for a mega host / an MLM. That's why I said there's like 2 or 3. Some of them overlap. I am passionately anti-MLM, so to each their own, but if they are having you recruit people, it's not a travel agent position. It is a network marketing position. And stay away from that. The other one is the mega host type of situation. So these are giant companies. They offer higher commission splits, but they also offer very little, if any, support at all. It's really just a place to get credentials to book travel. I do not recommend that for someone. I don't recommend that for anyone. But I especially don't recommend it for someone brand new to the industry. I would recommend looking for a small company that specializes in what you want to specialize in, really. You want to ask the agency what kind of support they offer to their agents. You want to ask about the culture. You want to ask about the training opportunities, the room for growth. And then you also want to look into the history of the agency and their legitimacy. So you want to look for client reviews, make sure that guests are happy with the experience that they've had planning with this team. And you also, I would try to check out the social media of the agents that work there. You can really tell if someone is happy with their agency if they're posting about their agency all the time and like about the friends they've made and the connections and all of that. So look for other agents that work there and see if they seem to like theirs. You can also reach out if you really want to. For our team, we have a pretty lengthy application process, honestly. So it starts with an application. Now, in years past, we have done 2 hiring rounds a year typically. We hire in January and July. For 2025, we are hiring all year long. Instead of hiring larger groups of people all at once, we have spread them out throughout the year. I'm recording this in June. We're going to leave it this way for the rest of the year, but if you're watching this after, we may have gone back to rounds. I don't know. This is an experiment year. So first step is the application. If we are not accepting applications, we always have a wait list. Our wait list does get very long. We usually, between hiring rounds, will get like 300 to 500 people on our wait list. So what that means is when we do open applications, I send an email to everyone on the wait list letting them know that applications are open and that people can apply. So after the application, we review it. We have a very my goal is always to be very fair in the hiring process. And so we have our 5 different people on our leadership team. Some combination of us will go in and rate every application objectively. And we give every step of the application a score. So the application gets a score, and if it's after several people have gone through it, if they have a certain score, they move on to the next round, and that's how it works between each round. The next one is a web-based interview where you complete a Disney knowledge check, you complete a personality assessment, a culture fit assessment, and then just some other questions to help us get to know you. Once you've completed that, you move on to the final step, which is the Zoom interview with our leadership team. It's usually 2, maybe 3 people who will be on the interview. Sometimes there's a third listening in, but it's usually 2. And that just helps us to finalize your application. There's a few other questions that we might have for you. And then from there, we usually will make a decision within about a week. Sometimes we make a decision the same day. It just depends. Once in a while, we might need a second interview. It does not happen very often, if ever, but I like to caveat that there may be a second interview required. So once you're hired, the next question that I get about the process is, does it cost money to be a travel agent? And the answer for that is a definite yes. This is something that should be a red flag if the answer is no. If the answer is no, that means that the company is putting everyone at risk with the IRS. The majority of travel agencies have independent contractors as travel agents. Once in a while, you will have one that they're hiring employees and they're paying them completely differently. It is a completely different situation than what we are talking about here. The ones that have independent contractors, the IRS is very clear that we have to make sure that all independent contractors are paying the entirety of their business expenses. So that means that anything that we are purchasing on your behalf, you have to pay for. So for us, what that looks like is we charge one annual fee and you pay that and you're covered for all these different things for a year. So for us, it includes your agency email address, coverage under our errors and omissions insurance, our asset management tool where we share social media content, and then our customer relations manager, which is where you track all your trips, service your clients, send forms, payment authorizations. That is honestly the bulk of the expense, is that we use a very comprehensive does everything sort of software for that to make sure that you don't have to pay for other things on the outside. And then also covers your first round of business cards and our company intranet. Whew, there's a lot involved. So you pay that yearly. There's other expenses that you can add on at your own discretion. This includes things like trips for like educational purposes, something like upgrading your Calendly, or not your, Calendly you can upgrade to, but your Canva account, upgrading that to Pro so you have access to more elements and features, and then like things like social media schedulers. There's other things that you can add on that increase the cost of running your business, but they're not required. I just want to make it clear that the agency is not making money off of your fees, at least not from like me. We are just charging you the cost of doing business because we have to. Technically, as an independent contractor, you are your own business. So like if you want to set up an LLC in your state, you can do that and be contracted as an LLC under the team. A lot of our agents will do that once they really like have hit their stride and they're selling a lot. But some people do it right away, and it's totally up to you. It's an optional expense. It's usually, at least in Maryland, it's not very expensive to do. So it's something to look into if that is of interest to you. The next question is, how do travel agents get paid? This is a commission-based role. So we work just about entirely off of commission. You do not receive any payment from the agency just for showing up to work. I say almost entirely commission-based because there are other ways to monetize your business that we teach our agents. One of those is planning fees. So like I have charged planning fees since 2020. So in order to do in-depth itinerary planning for guests, they pay a professional service fee to me in order to do those things. It is non-refundable. If they cancel their trip, it's not refunded. That is very important for me as a business because that means that I am protecting my income in the event that my client cancels. So because it's commission-based, when a client cancels their trip, we do not get paid for the trip, even if they canceled 3 days before. So if the vendor doesn't have the guest stay on their property, they do not pay out the commission. No one gets paid. The commission rates depend completely on the vendor. We have earned higher commission splits with just about all of the major cruise lines and other destinations too, like Universal. So commissions, commission is so complex, honestly. Different commission, different package components are commissioned differently. There's so much that goes into commission, honestly. The timing of when you get paid also varies greatly depending on the vendor. So some vendors pay within a day or two of the client getting home. Some pay 3 months later. Some pay quarterly. So if we just got paid by this transportation company, then your client goes 3 days later, well, you're not getting paid for another quarter. So depending on what you're selling, the turnaround time on getting paid can be different. But the biggest piece to know is that you don't get paid for a trip until after a client travels. So if they cancel, you do not get paid unless you're charging planning fees. But like I said, there's also other ways to monetize your business. So that's something that we go over in ongoing training with our agents. The next question I get a lot is, can you do this alongside a full-time job? And the answer is absolutely a yes. Most of our agents do work a full-time job. We have had many that have left their full-time jobs to do this full-time, but we do have a huge number of people that still work. We have teachers, we have a lot of medical professionals. We've got PAs, we've got nurses, all sorts of things. I just want to make it clear that if you do work another job, you need to make sure that you can make time for this opportunity because your success and your income from it is directly proportionate to the energy that you are putting into it. So if you do not have time to commit to this, you're probably not going to make your investment back, and it's not worth your time. You have to commit to being able to do this and do it well and do it often. It is a super flexible job. You can do it from absolutely anywhere. You can go away for 2 weeks to visit family and still work the whole time if you want to. But because you are an independent contractor, you don't have any set working hours, so you can work whenever you want. I, for many years, worked mostly at night just because, well, first of all, I was working full time, but also I'm a night owl. So that's just what worked best for me, and that's totally okay. You just have to make sure that you are willing and able to show up for your business in order to like get anywhere with it. The next question is it hard to find clients? And this completely depends on you. I have had people come out of the gate with really strong personal networks and their business takes off immediately. We've also had people that don't have those strong networks that it really takes time to build, and that's okay. Another thing that happens is sometimes when people first get started, they have a lot of interest, and then all of a sudden everyone who was going to book a trip through them booked and is now waiting to take their trip, and they stop selling because everyone's already booked. So like it really depends on the behaviors of your personal network. But a lot of our agents find most of their clients on social media, myself included. I do not book a lot for friends and family. I am young. I'm about to be 28. So like none of my friends are married. None of them have kids. My fiance's friends are married with kids. So like our network is growing, like personally, but my friends and family are not going to Disney. So social media is it for me. It's just different for everyone, and you have to find where your people are. It's really important to nail down who your ideal client is and figure out how you can reach them. That is the key to the whole thing. We talk a lot about that in our training program that we supply to our agents. So I'm not going to go into it in depth because that's a proprietary program, but it's really important. So short answer, it can be hard to find clients. The people that do tend to struggle the most are the younger people. I will say, though, I started at 20. And it was real slow going there those first couple of years, but when it took off, it took off. But our young people are the ones that do struggle the most, I would say. I don't want to be discouraging, and I don't want people to think that just because you're young doesn't mean you can't do it. I personally don't care if someone's young because I was so successful starting so young. It's really given me the opportunity to provide that to other people and let them have that chance. But they do tend to burn out if they don't see success pretty quickly. You have to be able to build relationships with people. So beyond whether or not it's hard to find clients, I do want it to be completely transparent that this is not a quick cash grab. You're not going to make a lot of money fast. Because you have to wait for your clients to travel. If your clients are not traveling for a year, you're not getting paid for a year unless you're charging planning fees. When you're trying to find clients, the most important things to keep in mind are that you're building relationships with people. Just because one person is a no doesn't mean that the next person won't be a yes, and that it just takes time and practice, really. Like, you have to practice being able to talk about Disney or another destination in a way that makes people want to go and makes people feel like they can trust you to put their plans in your hands, if that makes sense. The next question that I got was, is it okay if you haven't been to Disney in a while, or whatever destination that you're trying to sell? I don't think so. That's my opinion. So much of being able to explain to people what they need to do and what they need to know is having experienced it yourself. If you want to specialize in Disney but you haven't been in a while, I personally do not think that that is in the best interest of your clients. So for Disney specifically, I do think you need to have been there pretty recently, 3 times in the last 3 years. I think I already said that. So as long as it's 3 Disney destinations, I don't care what they are, but being able to be familiar with how Disney operates is really important. Once you're hired, you also need to be able to continue going on a regular basis. We ask that our agents try to go to the destinations that they're selling twice a year. So that doesn't mean you need to go to Disney World twice and Universal twice and a Disney cruise twice. It just means you need to be traveling twice a year at a bare minimum. It's not a requirement, but we just think that it's important to be able to continue to plan great trips, to stay traveling. And also, we get more interest while we're traveling than we do when we're at home. So giving people that FOMO and showing them what they could be experiencing is what's going to get you clients. So the more you travel, the more clients you're going to get. All right, so now that we know we want to be a travel agent, how do we find the right agency? Like I said before, you need to make sure that it's a legitimate company. So make sure that they've been in business for a while. that they have good client reviews, that their clients are having good experiences, that they have a team of agents that is happy to do their job. You want to review the agency history, make sure you know like the story of how they got started. I think that's important because it can show like, for example, I started this agency because I was unhappy at my previous agency. And so I believe that that has made me a better owner because I know what I did not appreciate about my old agency. Like, we had no support. I basically was given access to the Disney training. And then once I completed that, they said, go sell vacations. And I had to teach myself everything else. You know, I just don't think that that's effective. And it's something that I have worked really hard to change for my agents. You want to make sure that the owners were advisors before they were owners. So I think that like the job of a travel agent and the job of an owner are so different. Like, I wear two very different hats, and I don't think I could properly lead a group of people if I didn't understand their job, and I don't see how anyone else could either. So like, it's just my personal opinion, but I think that it's really important that they've been an advisor before. I also would caution, if someone is an advisor, like newly an advisor and opening an agency, to me that is also a red flag because they don't understand the ins and the outs of the industry at that point. I'd find out how the agency handled COVID. You want to know what they did with that downtime because like the whole world obviously was shut down. And what did their teams do? Like, how did they spend their time? Our team was doing training. We were doing training, like we were giving incentives for continuing to do training. So we actually started receiving calls like a few weeks into COVID from vendors complimenting us and thanking us for the amount of training our agents were doing and like continuing that momentum even though no one was going anywhere. So I think that that was definitely, like, we stayed connected to each other. We kept getting on Zoom. We kept doing trainings, obviously, like as a team too. And I think that was really important in keeping spirits high and not giving up on travel just because the global pandemic was happening. You know, we were able to bounce back that much quicker. You want to make sure that the agency has a good training program, especially if you're new to the industry. You don't know what's going on. You don't know how anything works. And so finding an agency that can support you in learning how it works is really important. I'll talk more about our program in a little bit, but we have a extensive one that I have been perfecting now since 2022. We've had 100 people go through the program at this point, I would say. And it just, like, I just revamped it maybe 3 months ago. It just keeps getting better, honestly, and I'm really proud of what I've put together. You want to make sure they're going to give you access to all the vendor training that you need. This one is, like, pretty low-hanging fruit, honestly. Like, if you're going to book something, you need to be able to do the training for it. But you do want to double check that. You, most importantly, in my opinion, though, need to find the right culture fit. So you want to make sure that you are going to fit into the agency and feel comfortable there. Because if you don't feel comfortable, you're not going to have anywhere to go to ask questions. You're going to feel like you're doing this on your own, and that's not a good way to feel, and that's not going to help you be successful in the long run. My one, tip here is don't mass apply to agencies. Apply to agencies that you're actually interested in. Do your due diligence. Look into these companies. Talk to people. Get to know them before you apply so that you know that you're not wasting your time. You're not wasting the agency's time. And that you know you're a good fit. You should be applying somewhere that you already feel like you're probably a really good fit. And then go from there. But if you're mass applying to agencies, we can tell on the application that you're just filling out every online form you can find for a travel agent position. Also, another random tidbit, please don't use AI. Please do not use AI to do your application. We receive so many of these that are very obviously written by ChatGPT. And while ChatGPT can be a good tool, I think it's really important for this position in particular that we are speaking from the heart and doing what is necessary to get the things that we want without the use of technology to that extent. This job, like I said before, is about connection and building relationships with people, and we don't want to be computers, right? We don't want our clients to feel like oh, we took their question and asked ChatGPT, because like they could have done that on their own, and then why do they have you? So we want to get to know you. We want to get to know how you'll fit into our team, and ChatGPT does not give us that look at you. It's also like, I know people think it's not, but it is very obvious when things were written by ChatGPT. So like, don't use it thinking that we're not going to know, because we're going to know. Finally, I just want to go over like what we offer at our agency in case you're interested in working with us. So the first thing is our accelerator program is like nothing I've ever seen in the industry. I have a really strong network of people that I know that also own agencies, and our training program is like way more involved and way deeper than anything I've seen elsewhere. We also have an asset management system where agents can share photos and videos of different destinations, places they've been, things they've tried, eaten, ridden, so that like if you're trying to make a post about something and you haven't experienced it yourself, that doesn't mean you can't post about it. We really encourage collaboration. It's one of our core values. We have 3, technically we have 4, but we have 3 like official ones. Collaboration, commitment, and integrity. And then inclusion is like the 4th one that's not like officially in ours, but it's very important to us. We also have a company intranet that we are basically in constant contact with the team all day long, every day. You can post your questions there, get them answered, and just have discussions and build relationships with your fellow agents, which just makes you a better travel planner in the long run. We also do weekly meetings. These are held on Zoom at the same time every week, same day. And it gives us an opportunity to come together and learn different things as a team. Sometimes we do vendor-hosted trainings. Sometimes we have our lead agents do it. Sometimes our leadership team does it. So it really depends on the topic. People can submit what they need help learning, and we try to work it into the training schedule somewhere. Our agency is one with a very strong network and close connection among our team members. We're very well connected to vendors and vendor contacts. And then we also have I have a lot of owner friends that I rely on heavily to learn how to be better at my job for all of my agents. And then we have a very close team as a whole. We kind of have 2 different groups of people. It's not like we've grouped them. It's just like how it kind of shakes out. We have people that are pretty quiet, pretty reserved, keep to themselves. They just book trips and ask questions when they have them. And then we have people that are very involved in the social aspect, which I love because I am also very involved in the social aspect. But we are very much like a very close family. Even though we are a larger team, we've been able to maintain a really strong company culture and close family feel, because the number one thing when we are looking for agents is how they're going to fit into that culture. I will not hire someone that I think is going to mess with it. And then if people do mess with it, I am quick to separate. It's something that I feel really strongly about protecting and keeping sacred, since we have people that have been here. We have people that have been here since the day we opened. And we have a ton that have been here for a really long time, relatively. We're only 5 years old. So ultimately, when we're looking for new agents, we're looking for great people. We're not just looking for salespeople. We are looking for genuinely good humans. If you apply to our team, the interview process moves pretty fast. As I went over it earlier, there's the regular the application, then there's the web interview, then there's the Zoom interview. All of those can be done within the same week or the next week. If you stay on top of things. If an application step is missed and you don't respond for 2 weeks, then we do clear your application. You have to reapply in the future if you're still interested. We want people that are committed to the role, because the way you respond to us is the way that you're going to respond to a client. And we take how our brand is perceived by guests really seriously. On that note, how you're going to interact with clients, like I said, do not use AI. Take a look at your application and make sure you are using complete sentences, really putting all your thoughts out there, using good grammar. You can use something like Grammarly. That's totally fine. But we want to make sure that our brand is well represented, and that starts from the very first interaction that we have with you, which is the application. We are not the right fit for every potential travel agent, but if we are the right fit for you, then you are more than welcome to apply with the link down below. If we are not hiring, there will be a waitlist page, but chances are pretty good that we're hiring when you're watching this video. This job is one that is so unbelievably rewarding. it's not even just the money aspect. The money aspect is nice because there's an unlimited amount of potential, basically, depending on like how you build your business. But the personal reward of being able to make an impact on someone's lifelong memories is something that I definitely don't take for granted, and it's one of my personal favorite parts of this job. I love like being able to make magic for families, and then I also love the flexibility and the lifestyle that it gives to me and to my family. So I think this is a really awesome gig if it's something that you're passionate about and something that you really, like I said, want to take seriously and dedicate time to. If you don't want to dedicate the time to it, it's not the opportunity for you, and that's okay. This job at the end of the day is what you make it, and I am so excited to see how far you can go if you decide to come work with Friend Like Me Travel Co.